Join Carol Davies on Global Voice Radio, the host of Only the Best for You. Be a change maker and unlock the secret to your best life.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carol Davies. Welcome to my weekly podcast called Only the Best for You here on Global Voice Radio. We look at ways that you can be a change maker in your life or in the lives of others. Today, I'm looking at how we can effectively deal with pressure, and I'll be giving some tips on how we can handle stress and pressure in our lives. There's no doubt that we live in a world that is full of both stress and pressure. There are so many things that we feel we have to accomplish that it feels like there aren't enough hours in the day to do what needs to get done. We have responsibilities at work. We have responsibilities to our loved ones. We have responsibilities to ourselves. All these various responsibilities can carry a heavy emotional and physical weight. If we don't finish everything that is making a demand on our attention, we feel that we have somehow failed. We've let ourselves or someone we care about down. It doesn't help that everyone we know is in exactly the same stress and pressure-filled boat. We see how our friends and neighbors scramble and compare our efforts to theirs. If we don't accomplish as much as they do in the time allotted, then again, we feel that we've failed. A main component that drives us all this pressure and stress is our technology. Phones, tablets, and computers keep all of us virtually tethered together in a lockstep towards achieving goals. We are instantaneously informed about how much so-and-so got done today, or how someone else finished a big project ahead of schedule, or worse yet, how another person missed a deadline and suffered the consequences. This constant stream of other people's personal and professional information acts as a goad. It makes us feel that any downtime is the equivalent of wasted time. Unable to relax and unable to stop worrying, we become overwhelmed by ever-growing levels of pressure and stress. Yet it doesn't have to be this way. While we can't change the society we live in, we can change our own behaviors and how we look at and deal with the world. We can be proactive instead of reactive. We can be positive instead of negative. We can develop an outlook and lifestyle that allows us to achieve our goals while minimizing or ameliorating the toxic effects that are the byproducts of a busy modern life. Today, I'd like to make some suggestions about how you can make types of personal changes. There is a difference between stress and pressure. They are different. And I'd like to give you several techniques that will reduce and eliminate stress and pressure, allowing you to live a better and healthier life. So let's get started. What's the difference between stress and pressure? It is a common fact that many people use the words pressure and stress interchangeably. They might say that they're totally stressed out by a presentation they have to make the next day, or that the pressures of all the responsibilities they have at work are really getting to them. In reality, stress and pressure are two very different things. Stress is what occurs when too many demands are made on our time or attention. When this occurs, we feel hurried and spread too thin. It seems there is not enough of us to go around. This is because in a stressful situation, we don't have enough resources, be it time, money, energy, or whatever, to deal with all the demands. So you could say that stress is a task-intensive, resource-deficient situation. There's just not enough of you to go around to get everything done. The reason that pressure and stress typically get confused is twofold. First, pressure can be a subset of greater stress. In other words, you can be pressured by one single situation that calls for your best performance. However, that single situation can be part of a group of demands on your time and attention that altogether is causing you stress. Second, although they are different, stress and pressure tend to produce similar physical and psychological effects in people. We're all familiar with the effects. Fear, shallow breathing, a sense of dread, upset stomach, and an elevated heart rate are common. The effects are the same because both pressure and stress trigger the flight or flee reflex. We are programmed to either fight things that we sense are dangerous or run away from them. The physical and mental effects that we feel when stressed or pressured are the manifestations of this reflex. The good news is that we can learn how to control and minimize these negative feelings so that they no longer interfere with our lives, health, and performance. We are now going to turn our attention to two of the easiest ways to manage stress and pressure in our own lives. Together, these practices can become powerful tools that can be used anywhere, anytime, to reduce the negative effects of pressure and stress. The first one is very simple. Just use your breath and breathe. Breathing is a part of our autonomic nervous system. In simple terms, this means that we breathe without having to think about it. Our brains adjust our respiration to fit our level of activity. Most of the time, this is a good thing. Our brains automate our breathing so that we're free to do other things. However, sometimes the situation doesn't work out as planned. When we're stressed or pressured, and the flight or flee reaction is triggered, our brain's response is to act as though we're in mortal danger. This means that our breathing automatically becomes shallower and more rapid. This breathing pattern, in turn, reinforces the idea that we're about to engage in a fight for our lives. The more we breathe this way, the more stressed and pressured we feel. A way to break this cycle is to intentionally take the controls of our respiration from the unconscious to the conscious. We can do this by intentionally breathing slower and more deeply. When we breathe slow and deep, we send a signal to the brain that we are not actually in danger. This interrupts the fight or flee reaction and reduces the physical and mental effects of stress and pressure that we are experiencing. One of the best ways to perform this pattern interrupt is with what's known as a cleansing breath. To perform a cleansing breath, take a deep, slow breath all the way in. Hold it for 1 or 2 seconds and then simply exhale completely while counting slowly to 4. Next, inhale slowly and completely while counting to 7. Hold your breath for a moment and then exhale again while performing another slow 4 count. This is 1 breath cycle. Repeat as necessary until you begin to feel more relaxed, calmer, less stressed or pressured, and more in control. This is a technique that you can do pretty much anytime, any place. Even say if you're in a very busy business meeting or rushing somewhere, just to sit and take a little bit of time and be quiet. It's quite easy to do, and it will become one of your best friends if you practice this frequently. Now, another way to manage pressure and stress, or more specifically, the effects of pressure and stress, is to meditate. The practice of meditation is ancient, going back thousands of years. At the same time, modern medicine has documented the physical advantage of this ancient practice when it comes to stress and pressure release. One of the first things to understand about meditation is that it is easy to do. You don't need to assume a certain position to make it work. You don't need to chant. You don't need to have years of practice to see positive effects. All you need is a quiet room and a comfortable position in order to begin to clear your mind. You simply sit or stand or lay and concentrate on removing all stray thoughts from your mind. Your goal is to still that little voice inside your head. When a stray thought pops up, banish it by refusing to follow the thought. Keep this up, and over time, you'll find that when your mind becomes quiet, you emerge from meditating feeling calmer, more focused, happier, and more in control. Meditation works by altering your brainwave frequency. Normally, when we are awake, our brains are operating in a high-frequency mode, known as beta wave. In this state, we are focused outward, looking at the world. We are receiving information, processing this information, and behaving accordingly. What we are doing biologically in a beta state is surviving. We view the world looking for dangers and opportunities. It is a highly reactive brain state, and it is the brain state that we experience when under pressure or stress. When we meditate, we intentionally slow our thought processes down. We slow down the brain, making it less reactive and more reflective. As the brain slows down, the brainwave state changes from beta waves to alpha waves, and then to theta waves. Each subsequent state is calmer and more relaxed than the previous state, so that by the time a theta state is achieved, nearly all of the negative effects of stress and pressure have been minimized or eliminated entirely. When you emerge from a session of meditation, the theta state is maintained for some time. Because you have actually rewired your brain, you are able to look at the world in a completely different way. You begin to see solutions where before you saw problems. You begin to see opportunities where before you saw obstacles. In short, you can begin to live a stress and pressure-free life. So what I've suggested are 2 easy techniques that you can use to manage stress and pressure. And I just wanted to quickly go over again what pressure is so that we're clear about this. There was a really good quote from famous athlete Tommy Lasorda. He said, "Pressure is a word that is misused in our vocabulary. When you start thinking of pressure, it's because you started thinking of failure." And how often do we have these automatic negative thoughts of failure? We didn't get something done, in the time that we planned or meet someone else's deadline. It's just insidious what our automatic negative thoughts can do to us. So just to summarize again, I'd just like to quickly list to you some of the symptoms and definitions of pressure. So psychological pressure is a powerful force with power to cause great damage if left unchecked. Pressure arises when a person has to perform a task at a certain level of competence or face negative consequences. Pressure has the ability to negatively affect all areas of a person's life, professional, personal, and academic. The fear of failure brought about by performance pressure is strong enough to cause a person to operate at less than optimum levels. Failing to understand and deal with the effects of pressure is what causes people to fail. Pressure does not make a person perform better. Pressure makes a person perform worse. People who successfully deal with pressure understand this and employ coping strategies that mitigate the negative effects that pressure causes. And a couple of these I mentioned already, using our breath and meditation. We do have some interesting causes and effects of pressure. Some people feel that they perform better when under pressure. However, this is a falsehood. Operating under pressure almost always guarantees a subpar performance. This happens because of a phenomenon known as performance paradox. With performance paradox, individuals under pressure reject positive information in favor of familiar yet negative information. This results in clouded judgment and indecision, which causes an individual to turn to easy solutions, and maybe not the best. The end result is that fear of failure causes the individual to make choices which practically guarantee failure. So how do successful people deal with pressure? Successful people are successful because they effectively deal with pressure using specific pressure reducing techniques and strategies. Here are just a few that you can think about that you might like to use. Learning to love life, including the pressures that it brings. Realizing that there is more than one opportunity to be successful. Minimizing the importance of a task or event. Staying focused on a goal or result. Preparing for the unexpected. Cultivating a strong sense of self-worth. Using visualization techniques to maximize the chances for success. Staying positive in the face of negativity. Living in the moment instead of fleeing from it. Taking control of the things that can be controlled. So the list of things I've just enumerated for you are very interesting and easy to do. It depends on how you view the world and what ways you like to operate in it. Besides using meditation and breathing techniques, some of the other techniques I mentioned here can be very, very useful. So I truly hope that today you find some great takeaways from my suggestions about dealing with pressure. If you want to have further information or want to talk about more ideas with me, contact me through my website, www.thepassionmotivator.com, or by email at Coach Carol Davies at gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. Remember, you can change your life at any time and become the success you want to be. I look forward to connecting with you again next week. Bye now.
Tune in every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern for Only the Best for You with Carol Davies on Global Voice Radio.